welcome you to another in our series, our ongoing series of monthly webinars. This month, as you can see on your screen, hopefully everybody has their screen up there, we're going to be tackling the topic of fan engagement. And we're delighted to have you with us. I was just mentioning to our panelists before we started that, you know, this being August, I was never sure what with vacations and everything. I wasn't sure what kind of a turnout we'd have here, but I take my hat off to all of you. We've got a great turnout, over 100 people again this month. So thank you all so very much for being a part of it. We're going to have a great hour-long session here. After each one of our presenters presents, at any time, you're welcome to, you'll see a chat box there where you can enter a question. Mackenzie Hodge, who's our producer of the program here, she'll get these messages and she'll chime in after each one of their presenters. So if there's something that you want to see get discussed deeper, or you have a specific question about something that one of our presenters brought up, or something that you just wanted to talk about in general with all of the group, by all means, feel free to enter it down in the chat box there. And then at the end, whatever time that we have left over, if there are any general questions, I know I'm going to probably shoot a few out to them. But any time left over, we'll also open it up for questions as well. Now, in addition, the call will be recorded so that all of you will receive a link after we're done. Mackenzie and Albie will send out a follow-up to all of you so that you can listen to it if you replay it. You can always go to the website. Our website is www.sports-forum.com. You can always go to the website and pull down the links for past webinars that you may have missed. And this has been a lot of fun to do. We've gotten a chance to meet, well, see some very familiar old friends that we've had, as well as meet some new friends. And every month we meet a lot of new people online that are taking part in the program. So we thank you for joining us. We hope you'll recommend it to other people. Each month it's a different topic. So last month, interestingly enough, the topic was business development. And I remember one of the things that came up, obviously, is that, you know, somebody made reference of the fact that ticket sales, of course, was the lifeblood of every organization. And I thought about that as we were getting ready for today's call, because if that's true and ticket sales are the lifeblood of every organization, then I think the lifeblood of all the ticket sales is fan engagement. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because, again, at the end of the day, one of the things we all share in common is this ongoing crusade to continue to get people out to our stadiums, our arenas, our games, our events. And it's tougher and tougher, and we all know it. There's plenty of competition out there. In some cases, we create our own competition by having a really nice state-of-the-art televised product that gets put out there. The growth of the third screen, if you would, social and digital media, making it ever harder, easier for people to stay home, but harder for us, because our job is first and foremost to get folks out to the event. And so today we're very pleased to be able to bring you people from 3 different backgrounds, completely unique backgrounds, teams as well as agencies, that have really mastered a great job of bringing people out to the game and engaging their fans, getting their fans to come back. So some great ideas. Hopefully you're taking lots of notes. You'll pass this on to other people in the organization. But as you can see on your screen, we've got Rob Boaz from the Chicago White Sox. It's the first time for Rob on one of our events, on our stage, if you would. So we're delighted to have him. Mike Shaman, who many of you might have met last year. He led a breakout session in February at the last National Sports Forum, did a great job from Helios Interactive. So we're delighted to bring him back. You'll really enjoy him. And, of course, I'm going to start off with a very dear friend of mine, someone who's been part and parcel of the forum, gosh, going back, I want to say to 2009, I think, was your first year, Mary. And she is a multiple-year member. This is her 7th year on the steering committee. So she is definitely very much a sage wisdom and old hat, if you would, about the National Sports Forum and the education that we like to impart, and does an amazing job at Iowa State University. So Mary, just a quick background. She's the Associate AD for Marketing at Iowa State, and she has been there for a number of years. She joined back in 1995. She began at ISU, and she became the Associate Athletics Director in 2008. So what she's going to talk about, obviously, they've broken several men's football, basketball, season ticket sales records, secured 19 straight home football crowds of 50,000 or more, and they certainly have surpassed. Women's basketball has continuously been in the top 10 nationally in terms of attendance for the past 10 years. She started a number of different programs, several of which I'm delighted to see that she's going to be talking about this morning. And because when it starts with fan engagement, you know, we all know it starts in the very beginning. It starts with kids and the focus, getting the kids used to coming out to the games, getting them to be part of the family from early on. So with that said, I want to turn this over to Mary. Certainly welcome, Mary, and please, if you would take over the stage here and bring us through your presentation.
Thanks, Ron. I today wanted to talk about our developing younger fans into future season ticket holders. So a big part for us was really looking at the next generation of our fans, whether it's millennials or now really focusing on Generation Z. 26% of the population is age group 21 and under. They're really the first group to grow up with internet and social media. So they're very hooked into computers and mobile devices, from iPads to iPhones to iPod touches. But they really want a relationship with brands, and they really want you to earn their influence from them. You have to really work for it. And they want to have an experience first with your product and then purchase items related to it. Why should you market to kids? The most lasting tie to an active brand is established for the age of 16. Marketing to kids influences every buying decision a parent makes. And one thing I saw recently was that the Red Sox had done a bunch of research because they're really trying to target youth, and so they looked at it as that people who go to games as kids are 2.9 times more likely to become core fans. And then another study that I had read is that, you know, a child who is taken to see a baseball game before he or she turns 5 attends 58% more games per year as an adult than a child who does not go to the stadium until he or she turns 14. Next slide. So how do you market to kids? One of our big things at Iowa State that we put a lot of effort and resources into, probably more than a lot of other colleges do, athletics departments, is we have focused on our kids club, which is a junior Cyclone club, which I know a lot of teams have a kids club, but we really put a lot of time and effort into it. We price it very affordably. Basically, it's $49 for early bird membership, and then after a certain period in time, we switched to $59. But it's 0 to 18 years of age. But you get into free admission for over 70 events, and it includes all of our home football games. They sit on hillsides that we have with their parents, can sit with them and buy. This year we're going to have parent passes that they're buying that are a season ticket to sit with them. And then they get an official shirt, a card. We do giveaways, and we do special events for them. Next slide. So attendance has really been, our sales have really come in kind of flat in the beginning, but have really grown tremendously over starting in 2011 to 4,300. And then our pinnacle was 2013, where we sold out of the memberships. And we've dropped a little bit, but still have really maintained a strong base of fans and of the Junior Cyclone Club. And as you can tell, this is based, the red bars here are our football season ticket record. And that's where a bulk of our membership is buying through, is to get into our football games, and then they attend our other events as well. But if you notice here, we haven't had a winning season in 5 years in football, and so and still our club has continued to have pretty good growth, even though we dipped a little bit the year before last year, but we've done pretty well as far as our memberships. And then you can see here our football attendance, where we started in 1997, which is around when we started the club initially. into all of our sports. We didn't really involve football as much then. We started to grow where we included our football home games in there right about 99. And then as we went, we included our premier matchup. We didn't used to include Iowa as our premier matchup. That was a separate ticket, but we decided to include the Iowa State matchup, which is a big ticket for people, for kids. And we continued to grow as we went along. And like I said, we've seen tremendous growth in our season ticket sales, and that's with a losing record here. As it shows again, our last 5 years we have not had a winning record in football, but continued to show strong results in season ticket sales. And we see it as a part of the fact that we've really had kids coming to attend our games and really had them involved with our product. Next slide. These are just some special events that we have really put a lot of emphasis on to really engage our kids, not necessarily having to do with they have to be at a football game, but we sponsored a movie night by our kids club, and we made it free to anyone. You didn't have to be a kids club member. We basically wanted to give another touch point at our football stadium to bring them in. We bring them in usually in mid-May. And in 2014, we had over 10,000 attend the event. As you can see, most of them were sitting on the field, which most kids don't ever get that opportunity. We showed the movie Frozen, so it was we got a tremendous amount of feedback from the public about the event, and it was just a tremendous event for us. Other events that we offer are, we've offered pregame field access, so we have a tunnel for a football team for one game. We've offered that. Parents can come down with their kids. They form a tunnel for the team, and we have over about 2,000 have participated in it, and that has been another huge benefit to the club members. Other things we do is we offer before every home football game, we offer an area called Cyclone Experience. It is free to the public. You don't have to be a kids club member, but most of the time they are kids club members that show up. We offer face painting, inflatables, appearances by our athletes. We offer all of our marketing materials there as well that kids can pick up. So we really try to integrate kids into each game before our home football games. About 10 years ago, we started our Fan Fest open to the public. We have all of our sports participate, so it's not just football and maybe volleyball, or just football. We do it in the fall. We just actually had it last weekend before school started. And we have about 5,000 attend each year, and again, get great feedback from the chance for people and kids to engage with our student athletes and our sports. We've offered this for a long time, a women's basketball clinic, and then we have food and things after, and our coach comes and speaks. It's a free event, but we can only so many kids can sign up for it. So it's a special event, and you have to be a Junior Cyclone Club member to be able to attend this event. They get basically skill sessions. They go into different groups. They split up, and then they have that for about an hour, and our head coach talks to them, and again has been a big fan favorite of our kids club members. We've offered a packet pickup instead of just mailing our packets out. We've had the families that want to come ahead of time can come and pick up their packet. Then we offer them a free item for coming and picking it up. And then we also have other things, again, another face painting, our mascot Spirit Squad. We have games where they can color, things like that at packet pickup day. So again, it's in July. We don't have any sports going on at that time, so it's another touch point with our fans to engage with our product. Other things that we've done are we have a kid captain of the game for women's basketball. We've done it for gymnastics and some of our other sports as well. And then we've also done a tunnel for our women's basketball team. When they come out in the second half, the kids all line the floor, and the players, as you can see, come along and slap hands for the kids. And right next to it is their kids club area, their seating area, which again is a designated area for them to sit for women's basketball, and they can bring their parents into the section as well.
Mary, we did have one question come in talking about the Junior Cyclone Club membership, the increase between 2011 and 2013. Were there any other specific factors that you can attribute to that increase, that were you guys doing something differently in those years to lead to that increase?
I think one thing was, you know, I think we opened it up.
You can put that slide back up on the screen for folks to actually see that. That's number 7.
Yeah.
You can back up there. Let's give everybody a chance to see what those numbers were. Sorry about that, Mary. Just wanted to get that in there. So,
sure.
And I think it's one more slide back. Go back one more. Yeah. There you go.
So one thing we did start doing as well is we opened up the membership to, before it was up to 8th grade, and then we opened it up to now you can be 18 years or younger to be in the club, or a senior in high school. So we were able to open our membership up to more kids, and so that's another part of our growth. Not all of them were part of that, basically going up to 4,300. I think it was additional marketing of the club, and we had some, you know, we had some decent seasons for football, but again, we haven't really won. So it was kind of a 2 factors involved with that.
You know, question for you, Mary. Is there a sponsor for the Junior Cyclone Club?
We have had some sponsors involved. An energy company here in town has been involved, but we haven't had a lot of large sponsorship.
I was going to say, because, I mean, can they, I would assume that maybe with the right sponsorship, they can also help promote this program outside of, you know, what Iowa State is doing, but to their consumers, a nice way to, you know, pass that through and help grow the program. I'm curious, in looking at this, question that I have is, social and digital media, how are you using that to help, you know, engage the fans outside, you know, drive the attendance for these programs, but in addition, maybe other programs as well, the ongoing stream of videos that the Cyclones use, things of that nature, you know, how does that play a role for you?
We are actually doing a lot in the social and digital age to try and reach a younger demographic. We do a lot with Snapchat and Instagram, because we see those as the two of the platforms that really tend to engage a much younger demographic from the research that we've done. So we do a lot of promotions through those 2 channels. You know, when we're trying to promote the sales of the club, we're obviously, you know, we try to go towards the parent who's doing the signing up for them. So we do marketing on our Facebook channel. We do direct emailing, and then we also use, you know, Twitter as well. So we've kind of used a couple different things to try to drive sales of the memberships, but then in terms of engaging further this demographic of Generation Z and millennials, we really tend to gravitate towards Instagram and Snapchat.
And you know, not actually looking at the younger generation, but actually how you do fan engagement in general. I know that the Cyclones have a very aggressive tent program. Tailgating is a very big thing for y'all there, that you have the Cyclone tent program. And then you also, I believe this year, are introducing a new, I think it's called the Suck Up End Zone Club. So, you know, again, ticket packaging, really more touch points, anything that you can tell us about either of those programs.
Yeah, I mean, we offer a pretty big tent program that we really expanded when I got here, and really have tried to work aggressively on. That for us has really driven a lot of group sales, so people can package in and buy either a standard size tent, which can hold about 100 people, and then they can bring in their own food and alcohol that they want. They can't sell anything on site, obviously, but can do that, and then they can buy set group ticket packages with us to complement the tent package. And then we have auxiliary tents, so you can get bigger groups in. You can get up to 400 people with your tent, and that's been a huge thing for us, because then we've driven a lot of additional ticket sales for single games through our tent program. And then the other piece is, yeah, we're opening up our Sioux Cup End Zone Club, which is a new premium club for people, and you have to be a $500 or above level donor to get into the club to even buy tickets, and then the tickets are $750 on a season basis, but you get the ability to buy alcohol. You can bring your alcohol into the seats. There's also really two-level club that's looks kind of like a Buffalo Wild Wings inside. It's really big and expansive and has a lot of TVs in it. So when it gets colder out, it's going to be a big thing for people to go in and watch the game while they can drink inside. So that's another huge benefit, as well as it's enclosing our south end zone of our stadium. We've never had an enclosed stadium, and so it really looks spectacular.
No, that is great. And again, if there's, Mac, did you have a question?
Yeah, Mary, I have one more question. Going back to the membership for the Junior Cyclone Club, do you know about what percentage of your members are new each year, and what do you do to encourage members to sign up for another year or more than 1 year?
That's a really good question. I don't have that data with me right now on how many are renewing, but that's a really good question. I would say one of the big drivers is we really try to use the incentive of signing up early. So we try to get our members in early, so we're not trying to go at them late and try to get them the membership up. So we offer that $49 price point, and then we always go back to our lists of the people that had bought the year before and really hit them with a couple emails and things like that to get them to renew their membership. But we haven't done anything to necessarily get them to sign up for multi-years. I will tell you that we are doing something new this year. One thing that we saw is that the Junior Cycling Club members are using it for football, but are not activating their membership or going to games for women's basketball or wrestling. So we are actually starting a Junior Cycling Club reward program where kids now will have a specific, they get a membership card with a barcode on it. We'll track their attendance at each of the events, and then we have a point system that they will get specific prizes based on points that they obtain. And so that's going to really be, now we're going to be able to track it. Before we could only tell if they were just a Junior Cyclone Club member, but now we're going to be able to track what games they attend and be able to really get a sense of are they using their membership or not, and getting them to go to our events.
Excellent. And again, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Mary, and if anybody, you have any questions, Mary's going to stay with us at the end. By all means, feel free. And then if you have questions, you want to talk to Mary offline, just reach out to Mackenzie and she'll get you connected to Mary. Thank you so much for sharing that. Great. When you talk about fan engagement, like we said at the top of the hour, I mean, it starts when they're young, getting them involved very, very early, and Cyclones are doing a tremendous job of that. So hats off and kudos and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And up next, as I mentioned earlier, we have we're delighted to welcome back, and certainly to first time to our webinar. We're going to introduce you here to Mike Shaman. Mike is a managing director and CEO of Helios Interactive. So you're going to go from obviously looking at it from a properties point of view to really to the next generation here. Helios, from what we've been able to see, and this has been great fun for us to watch, we're all interested in how new technology is helping us with fan engagement, how we're getting our brand out there, how we're incorporating our sponsors and advertisers, et cetera, but most and first and foremost, how can we increase the fan enjoyment of the particular events that we have? And so a lot of us are looking at new technologies as ways to help that happen. And so we're delighted to bring Mike along. He is a tremendous advocate. He goes around the country talking about the adoption of new experiential displays that Helios does. They do a terrific job, and this is a company that is involved in interactive experiences, creating them for consumers all across different forms and different sports. And I think Mike's going to talk about a few of them today, but certainly incorporating a variety of technologies. And what we're doing, you'll hear about augmented reality, virtual reality, hands-on touches, social sharing, design. We were talking with Mary about social and digital, how they're doing it, what Helios is doing for their clients, and certainly the data that's coming out of this as we pull all of this information together. So with that, again, Mike, I want to welcome you. Certainly thank you so much for coming out this afternoon, and please, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much, Ron. I appreciate it. I will do my best to take everybody through kind of a bunch of different looks at fan engagement. This will be anywhere from very tactical, what are we doing to engage fans digitally and to increase their enjoyment and participation at an event, all the way through what are teams doing to create tools that they can, utilize for sponsorship sales. How are these kind of folding out over years? All the way through creating loyalty. How do you deal with repeat visitors? Because our events are not for one game; they are for multiple games, and providing a platform from which fans can kind of visit and revisit is kind of an interesting go for us. And it's something new that we're actually launching and just launched on Sunday at Levi Stadium. It was the first San Francisco 49er preseason game. So I'll speak to that. And if you don't mind going to the next slide, Mac, I'd appreciate it. Tell you a little bit about who we are. Ron, thanks for the great intro. We're an experience design studio. So our entire purpose for being is to create interactive digital experiences for fans at events. A big portion of our group is made up of developers and programmers, but we also have a lot of designers and really a lot of people that are passionate about new technologies and about creating interesting engagements with them. You can go to the next one. These four elements, and I encourage anybody listening today to kind of use this as a measuring stick when they're creating an experience. And that can be any experience, really. It's doesn't have to be digital, but for us, we measure ourselves by these four elements, everything we do. First is innovation. And innovation is typically through utilization of a new technology, or maybe it's a combination of existing technologies, but the innovation element is going to be that thing that's going to get a fan to stop and say, hey, what is that? That's pretty interesting over there. Maybe I should take a look. Maybe I should investigate. That's kind of our attract. Personalization. There are pretty wide audiences that come to games, as everybody probably knows. Kids from 8 to folks who are 80. Giving the same message to every single one of those people is probably not the best approach. It's a little bit of a shotgun approach. It's not going to be as effective as if you can just do a couple simple things to personalize an experience for a particular fan. So we find that personalization and customization has been a really, really important element for us. 3 is shareability. And obviously shareability these days is all about social media and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and everything else. But for us, shareability is not just that. It's also the buzz that an experience can create. It's a, hey, did you try this out? It's a, did you see that on the concourse? Oh, man. That's what shareability is to us, and we do, I think, a pretty good job of creating experiences that people want to tell others about. Measurability. And this is, you guys have probably heard over the past several years that there's increasing amount of accountability for creating an experience for fans, and that's not just from a fan perspective, but that's something that sponsors need so that they understand what the ROI is on their investment. And so we are doing very, very deep levels of measurement, capturing a ton of really interesting data and a lot of analytics about every one of our activations. That can be the length of time a fan spends with an activation. That can be how many of them opted in to receive an email at the end of that, how many of those people opened their email at the end of that, how many people posted that to Facebook, how many people liked that on Facebook, what decisions do they make within that experience. So there are a lot of different data points that we're collecting. We actually have created a series of live dashboards so that teams and sponsors can go check in, see how many people interacted with their experience over the course of the game, which then allow us to kind of tweak and change things a little bit as the season progresses so that we can refine it. Next slide. So I'm going to go through a bunch of different experiences we have, and I'd encourage any of you guys on the webinar to take a look at our website. We have case study videos for each of these. It's heliosinteractive.com, and it's under the Our Work tab. But I'll talk a little bit about several fan engagements that we've built over the last couple of years, and They span a variety of different industries or different events, from the Olympics to the U.S. Open to Major League Baseball to National Football League, NBA. The piece here is a Staples Center fan experience, and that encapsulated several different elements, the key being a souvenir ticket configurator. The sponsor is StubHub. They had just forged a new partnership with AEG, and they were interested in creating an experience at the marquee venue, the crown jewel of AEG's portfolio, at the Staples Center. So we built out about a 20-foot by 30-foot footprint that looked a little bit like an old-timey ticket booth, but the purpose of that was that StubHub was feeling that fans, were all printing up their tickets, or they were going to digital tickets, which is a big trend these days. I know a lot of teams are moving to digital-only tickets and not providing that old printed keepsake. So what we built for StubHub was a commemorative ticket experience where fans can go up, take a photo of themselves so that they can become the hero, and then configure their own specialized ticket. Now, this didn't actually have seat information on it. It was more of a souvenir, but they could print that ticket up, configure it. They could add in team logos and graphics and imagery, and then print it up and have it provided to them within a lanyard. We also sent it to them digitally from where they could share it socially, so they received it in their email and then could post it to Facebook and Twitter. Really fascinating experience. It's been up for about 2 years now. We've printed over 100,000 tickets for fans coming through, and that's at a clip of about 200 to 300 per game. And throughput's always a consideration for us. It's how many people can we get through this experience, because I think we have 1 photo station and then 4 tablet stations where people can configure their tickets. Just a couple of interesting facts. The overall Facebook share rate comes in at about 8 to 10%, which is pretty strong. We do a lot of events in a lot of different industries, and we'll see typical Facebook post rates at about 5 to 7%. Also worth noting that for the Golden State Warriors, the NBA Finals, we created a similar experience, obviously being the NBA Finals and fairly marquee event. We actually saw an excess of 25% Facebook posts and about a 92% email open rate, both of which are kind of off the charts for us, but I think those are specialized situations. Next slide, please. Thanks. So this is a piece we did for Nike. Nike, and we did this at Quicken Loans Arena in the Cleveland Cavaliers Stadium. Kyrie Irving in December launched his flagship shoe, and they wanted to create an experience that would let fans actually browse information about the shoe. That center screen you see is a 3x3 55-inch diagonal video wall. So really big video wall. On the left and right sides, we use transparent LCD displays to showcase various items, and that's shoes, hats, socks, shirts, and shorts. If you look closely on the screen on the far right, you can see the swipe to shop. That was also a touch screen, so not only could you see the objects behind the screen, but you could actually have a shopping experience. You would choose the appropriate items, you would add them to a cart, and then you would send that cart to your mobile device. So you'd enter your mobile device as the kind of receiving area. So you'd receive that cart, and then you'd actually be able to complete the transaction on your mobile device. We assumed, and people typically don't want to broadcast private credit card information on a giant screen, so their own personal devices was the appropriate way to do that. The other fun part about this was if you ordered by halftime, you would actually receive your order by Nike runners running throughout the stadium in your seats. So we actually did an in-seat delivery for Nike brand, and it was really, really popular. We had sold out by halftime, which was great. I think we did about $30,000 in sales in about three and a half hours of the activation. So really popular, really fun, and really unique way to transact. And actually taking a step back for 1 second, back to the ticket configurator, one team strategy that we're going to be deploying that with, and I think it's an interesting one as we kind of point to the how do we increase our bottom line. For the Staples Center, they were printing their tickets on site and just handing them out. We actually have a couple of teams who are going to be printing tickets and actually saying you can pick them up for free inside our souvenir store or inside the fan shop, which is an interesting traffic driver to move people in that direction, to have them pick it up. And yes, it's free, but you know, people are inside that fan shop intent to purchase, I think, is what they're counting on. Thanks for dropping back, Mackenzie. On to the next. So for Madison Square Garden and for Delta, we had built out basically a giant video wall experience that integrated social, it integrated mobile, integrated a number of live feeds. This was a little bit more informational. The idea here is that they wanted to create a space that would be interesting, informational, and be a hub and kind of create a meeting place for fans. So it was on about a 6-minute loop, and we'd have all sorts of Rangers and Knicks information on there. The other element about this was that we built a fairly significant back end, and this is also something we're doing for the 49ers, something we're doing for at MetLife Stadium as well, which is a content management system. That content management system is something that the teams themselves can own and can operate. So it basically is a customized tool set that we build, allowing them to customize some of the graphics, some of the imagery, some of the videos within an experience. Once they can do that, and whether that's for a giant video wall experience or for a souvenir ticket configurator, it's an interesting sponsorship sales opportunity. I think that we're working directly with several teams that have asked us to build several digital experiences that are brandable, so that for the Portland Trail Blazers, if they want to have Alaska Airlines come in and sponsor a souvenir ticket for 10 games, that's a package they can provide to their team and then sell. They can actually also alter that and make their own changes on their own if they'd like. We have our team here. We're always happy to play a role in the development, but we're not always needed. And a lot of teams out there are really looking for the ability to handle that on their own and to ensure that they can actually get multiple sponsors and get multiple other folks involved. Next one. So we're doing a lot of work with the NFL right now. If anybody on the call makes that the NFL experience at Moscone Center here in San Francisco, we also happen to be located in San Francisco, which is very convenient. You'll see several activations from us. Likewise, Levi Stadium, we've been building out a number of different activations. This is actually a piece that went on tour. The Super Bowl host committee was drumming up interest in the Super Bowl by traveling around New York, and this was 448. That would go to kids events all around the state, and we built a gesture-based football game. So the idea was you'd receive a kickoff, and by running in place, jumping, ducking, stiff arming, and dodging left and right, you could actually return a game, return a kickoff. Really fun activation, gets people active. Obviously, in the sports world, we deal with a lot of apparel companies, a lot of other companies that want people to get up, get active, and move. And we found that gesture-based displays are a really good way to do that. So we built this game basically from scratch. We built similar experiences for NCAA Final Four, for LG Electronics, and for a few other folks that are significant sponsors of other events. So we found gesture to be a really fun tool to use. Thanks, Mackenzie. So VR. If you guys haven't seen VR, I'd encourage you to take a look at the demo. We're always happy to host folks here if you ever happen to be by San Francisco. But it's a really interesting new technology that's going to be very, very, very big. Virtual reality allows you to basically create a sense of presence for individuals. We can do things that are computer-generated imagery, that are video game-like. In fact, on Sunday for the San Francisco 49ers, one of the activations we built was a virtual quarterback challenge, where you put on a VR headset, you have a couple rounds of target practice, a round of moving receivers that you need to throw a ball to, and then you actually are a quarterback in the game with players rushing you. Really immersive, really fun, really unique. VR is a really exceptional technology. We're also doing a piece at MetLife Stadium, which I think we're launching on Saturday, which is going to be a kind of a virtual stadium tour. I will have to hesitate to tell you guys exactly what it is until we launch it, but it's going to be really unique, really great. It's actually you shooting video with a 360-degree panoramic camera. And I tell you that, again, if you haven't seen this, it feels like you're there. You can put somebody on the sidelines of the game. You can put them in the upper deck. You can put them in the press box, put them in the locker room. It's fascinating, and it really, I mean, it really takes people away and provides one of the most immersive experiences that you can provide. For Lexus, this piece in particular, we actually built a driving game. The idea was they wanted to create a test drive for one of their vehicles, the RCF, and they wanted that to be able to take fans through what turned out to be kind of highlights of particular tracks around the world. So that could be Nuremberg, it could be Fuji, it could be Sonoma, and the hairpin turn. So they integrated 6 or 8 different, very unique elements from tracks around the world, and then we built a custom track for them and a custom VR racing game. Really fun, really, really popular. That's been touring now for the last year, going around to auto shows and automotive events and automotive sporting events for the last year. So really fun and been really great. One other element that is worth talking about, which is a new launch for us, is a virtual fan page. So we are doing a lot of different digital experiences for fans at a lot of different events. And oftentimes when we have several different experiences within a stadium, we want to be able to aggregate that. You don't want to hammer a fan with too many emails that they may or may not open. So we came up with a concept, and it's a piece we're starting to roll out now, which is the virtual fan page, which means every activation that you participate in will contribute to a specific website, basically. Imagine a personalized Facebook page specifically for your activation at a stadium. Again, I'll point to the Levy Stadium, what we're doing with SAP. There are 5 different experiences we created there. The virtual reality experience, we have a What 49er Are You quiz contest to align you with one of their players. We have a kind of pick'em game where you guess what the overall stats will be, which lines up with SAP's HANA product. We have a Niner Nation experience, which tells you about the distance you've traveled, and that's in conjunction with United Airlines. So all these various experiences you can engage with as a fan, we can aggregate in one page, and we send at the end of the game the fan a single link. It has their photo from the VR experience. It has what 49er are you? Oh, I'm Navarro Bowman. And it has the results of their pick'em. It has their journey on Niner Nation. So it aggregates all of these different experiences in one place. They can share each of those directly from that page, and it's a really great piece. We're keeping that not just for that game, but for the season. And that goes back to what I had mentioned earlier, which is kind of building up that fan loyalty and building up that expectation of having fun and unique experiences every time. We put some info about the game and just some basic information about score and stats. But really, you'll be able to browse that page by every single game that you attend. And that's a really exciting development for us, and it's one we're really, really looking forward to getting into further. You'll see that at MetLife and Levy Stadium launching this week.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Mike. I know I've got a question I want to ask if we have some time at the end. But one question before we turn over, I wanted to ask just if you wouldn't mind, you mentioned it earlier, but if anybody wanted to go to your website to get more information, and like you said, I've been up and seen several of the interactive videos that you have up there. What's your URL, please?
Yes, Helios, Helios, interactive.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and everybody appreciate it. That was Mike Shaman that was joining us here, and like I said, if you have questions at the end, we've got a little time. We're going to fire a couple of them out here, but because I'm really glad that he talked about the virtual reality. I think that's a great look at what's coming up in the future. But I wanted to wrap up here, if we may, with a new member to the forum family, if you would. I'm going to turn this over to Rob Boaz, for the manager of premium seating sales and service for the White Sox. Rob, we know his sister Lisa very well. She's part of our steering committee. But Rob's in his 10th year with the White Sox. I've heard a tremendous amount about him from the White Sox folks there. And his current job with the White Sox is to oversee all of their premium seating that they have within, which includes the Magellan Scout seats, the home plate club, all of the season suites. So when you're talking about fan engagement and keeping the fans in line, obviously that goes for the ticket holder, but it especially goes true for the suite holder, who are writing the very large checks for us, and how to keep them engaged. Part of it, even if the team's not winning, they use something very interesting at the White Sox, and I'm glad to see Rob is going to be talking a little bit about it, and that's a program called the SuiteMate tablet system. So with that said, and as a lead, and if I may, Rob, please take us home, sir.
All right, thank you, Ron. Like Ron mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about our SuiteMate customer service enhancement that we have on our suite level. A little background, heading into the 2014 season, we did an overall analysis of our suite service and found that it was a little lacking. The biggest problem was that we didn't have any type of call button or any way for our guests to reach their servers when they needed them. They basically had to stick their head out into the hallway to find someone to place an order. So because of that, we decided that we wanted to not only just enhance their experience with being able to get better service, but also enhance their overall experience at the game. So we sat down and came up with some goals for our clients that, when we're going into the system, some things that we would look at. A couple of those things were, one, like I mentioned, a way to have an attendant notification to get a hold of their attendant at any point. Also wanted them to be able to order food and beverages and merchandise in the suite without having to leave or do anything else. We wanted the ability to watch MLB At Bat on the tablet, which, for those who aren't aware, that's a system set up through MLB. We can watch every other game live on a tablet or on a computer. And also the ability to swipe credit cards on the tablet and then split checks, which is something that we couldn't really do before that. On our internal side of things, we had a couple goals. Levy Restaurants handles all of the food and beverage in our premium seating areas, so we work closely with them on coming up with some enhancements that could help us out throughout the year. A couple of those were to target individual suites and market-specific food and beverage and merchandise. Using the data that we received from these tablets, we could form specific things for every single suite. We wanted the ability for our corporate partnerships department to sell inventory. We wanted the ability to push real-time notifications and updates to each suite throughout the game. As many as you know, one of the big things with baseball is weather, and we wanted to be able to give them updates and important information throughout the game. And the last was to capture all of the data on the food and beverage ordering, staffing, and guests. Around the same time that we were looking at this, the White Sox as an organization started a big project with the data warehouse. So this flowed right into it to be able to get a little bit more data and then in turn use that data to help us and help our bottom line. So the company that we worked with is called Parametric. We had a sort of somewhat relationship with them because they were working over at the United Center, which the Chicago Bulls are owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, who's our owner here at the White Sox. They were using things a little bit different. They had a 7-inch tablet called Checkmate that all of their servers were using just when they, basically as a point of sale service. Going into the suite, they would use those to place all the orders and everything from that. The one big difference is they did not have anything client facing, which that was something that was pretty important to us. So we sat down with Parametric and basically laid out our goals and benefits, and they had a pretty good vision of exactly what we were looking for, and we came up with a Checkmate tablet, which the Checkmate tablet is a 10-inch tablet that is live in the suite, and it can be passed around. It is a tablet just like you see for everything else, but it is client-facing. I'll kind of walk through what the 10-inch tablet looks like next. The first screen, we wanted to make it pretty visual to get some people to motivated to actually utilize it. We have our servers go in, explain, this is the tablet, here's what it can do, and try to get it in their hands right away. On the main screen, we have a live weather feed. We have a call button, which is able to attend or basically tell the server what you're looking for. There's a drop-down box from there saying open the windows, or we need more food and drink, or we just have a general question. And then the last is the push notifications displayed from the venue. You don't see anything on this screen, but when we do push something, it pops up and explain and is on the entire screen of exactly what we're trying to say. The next is the food and drink portion. It's very visual with pictures of the food, pictures of the drinks, and it's very easy for ordering. The food and beverage can be ordered with just a few taps. One of the things that was very important to us was that we did not lose any of the previous functionality, which those types of things of direct billing and preferences that our suite holders had for it. We thought of every single thing before we put this in the suites, just so that we didn't lose any of that functionality. When a food or beverage order is pushed through, it goes directly to the pantry. They get an alert. The server gets an alert so that they know exactly what was ordered, and then the food is delivered seamlessly to the suite. On this 10-inch tablet, they're able to swipe the credit cards or split checks, or or kind of do a lot of different of the billing things that we couldn't really do beforehand. Next page, we have merchandise, which can be ordered in the suite, and then usually within 30 minutes can be delivered into the suite. We started off with some of the smaller menu items, hats, jerseys, and things that we knew we would have in inventory. And so far it's been very positive, and we're going to continue to add new things to it. The credit card has to be swiped on the tablet, and it can't be direct billed to the suite. That's one difference that we had to make, and we learned kind of as we went along in the process for it. The next tab is MLB At Bat, like I mentioned before. It's a live streaming area that they can watch every single game that's going on. That's actually something that we found a lot of usage from people, where if someone coming from New York or someone coming from Boston, they can have their team's game on at the same time while they're watching a game in our suite. The last area of it is our Sox Specials. This is kind of our miscellaneous area. It allows us to add anything we want to add throughout the season. A couple of things that we have on there right now are our first game certificate, where they click the button, type in the name, and then a first game certificate is delivered to their suite. So it's great for kids. We also have some of our information on there in case people are looking to learn more about hosting a suite or buying some tickets in one of our all-inclusive areas. And then we have some fun little things with White Sox team history and a park map. This is an area that will continue to really expand in the next couple of years. The next few slides will be some of the examples of the data obtained from the tablet. Like I mentioned, we're taking a lot of this data and integrating into our data warehouse, and the hope is that down the road, it'll give us a lot more details on how a customer goes to a game. When they're in a suite, what exactly are they looking to do? How can we get them to spend a little bit more money, but also still have a great experience? The first one is just shows the usage numbers of how people are ordering. You can see the majority of people are still ordering from their server, so it's really not 100% taken away the face-to-face interaction with our servers. The great thing about it is that now they're placing the main orders with the servers, but then little add-ons here and there they can do on the SuiteMate 10-inch tablet. Next slide, please. One other great thing that is we receive all of the data from SuiteMate on how the guests are clicking on the tablet. So the number of clicks, the time spent on specific areas will be important in the future, just to learn how we can enhance the tablet itself to providing better content to our guests. You can see that the food and beverage is still the highest thing that's clicked on, but MLB At Bat has a pretty good chunk, as well as merchandise and the home screen. And then this is just a breakout on the revenue on what people are ordering on the SweetMate tablets. Working with Levy, we can really utilize this data to come up with better push notifications and better specials that we can provide to each suite to hopefully can get them to purchase a little bit more food throughout the game. So like I mentioned before, we do get all the information on the click tracking, and basically you can see it's pretty unique at specific times when people are clicking on the tablet. There are specific times, usually about an hour and a half from the game starting, when they're utilizing the tablet the most. From there, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier of being able to send specific notifications at specific points so that we know people are actually looking at the tablets at that point. The next slide is just the food portion broken out from that, but that's very important to Levy for them to know when they should send those notifications or when they should stop in the suite and mention, we have a special going on our dessert cart or a special going on with beer or drinks, different things that we haven't done really in the past, but hopefully can, make a better experience for our guests. So the last slide here talks about kind of the results that we've seen so far. One big takeaway is that our usage is way up from last season. We've looked at the click data as well as the food and beverage ordering, and so far we've really seen, especially our season suite holders, embrace this and utilize it quite a bit more than they were last year. We're still working with Levy on the data to see the sales from year to year, but from speaking with our GM from Levy, he definitely thinks that there's a pretty good uptick on day of game orders, and we base a lot of it to the SweetMate tablet. One of the things that's been fun is working with our clients on feedback from them. So a couple of ideas that they've given us are things that we have in the future that we're planning on adding to the tablets. As well as other future plans, we really want to make this more interactive and something that the kids can use. MLB is pretty interested in adding some interactive games to these tablets. And then as we get farther down the road with selling merchandise, eventually we'd like to sell some higher priced items, such as game-used items, a bat or a baseball that's used that game and can be delivered to the suite before the end of the game. And I mentioned this earlier, but another future plan would be working with our corporate partnerships, selling some inventory on there, either selling or just doing enhancements for their current partners that is reaching the premium seating customer. That's something that they spend a lot of time trying to figure out ways to market to the premium customer, and this is something that it's showing that people are using while they're in the suite. The last part would be the data management project that we discussed earlier, just really working with Parametric, the company that we work with on this, as well as our data warehouse, to finding some trends and finding some specific things that can really help us provide a better experience to all of our suite holders in the future. That's kind of a recap of the entire project. I'll let Max see if there's any questions at all on that.
Certainly, Rob, if I could, this is Ron just jumping in. This is probably an obvious question. I know that with the SweetMate program, that's an outstanding program. The cost to put tablets in there, probably replace tablets, making sure that, because you don't always know, some suites obviously have guests that stop in, to make sure that they don't get pilfered or damaged or anything like that. What kind of fallout have you seen from replacement? What kind of dollars have you had to allocate towards something like that?
Well, that was actually one of the first questions from our upper management when we went through the whole process. And really, so far this season, and last season, we haven't had any issues. We haven't had any of them stolen. They don't work outside of the stadium, so that's something that we let people know. We've had usually I'd say 3 to 4 per year broken, which that's kind of built into the deal that we made with it, knowing that there would be some ones broken just here and there, but we really haven't. It hasn't caused any problems on that end. We haven't seen any extra costs because of broken or stolen tablets.
I mean, the dollars that you're seeing off of something like that are tremendous. So, and just it's simple enough. But one of the things that you mentioned there, like the certificate for the young one who's attending their first game. I mean, what a neat thing for somebody to get when you talk about fan engagement, to be recognized that way. Mascots, you bring, the up onto the press level, some of the more, fun, as you said, trying to get them engaged. Obviously, you can't. There's only so much you can do with the players, but the mascots you have a little bit more flexibility with.
Well, exactly, and the first game certificates is definitely something that we didn't really know how it would go. I mean, we do it in the rest of the stadium, but we didn't know how it would go on the tablet, and it's seen great success. I mean, we've had a lot of, we filled, I don't have the exact number, but filled a lot of those requests throughout the last 2 years.
I just think it's a great idea. I mean, and Mike, before we let everybody go, one question for you, as you talked about it a little bit there. The big question is, what's next? When you look out there over onto what's happening with new technologies and everything, where do you see the next evolution going? What's big on the horizon? I think we got Mike there, but I'm not sure if we might have lost him on the microphone. Mike, can you hear us?
Sorry, yeah, I got you. So, new technology, I mentioned that VR is going to be huge, but it is, in fact, interesting in that it's kind of limiting. It's an individual experience versus a group experience. So there are some far-off technologies that are many years away. I think there's some really interesting new display technologies. There's some transparent screens that don't require boxes. There's some new augmented reality applications that are going to be out there. From our perspective, it's really keeping the experience simple, brief. You're going to have a fan engage with something for 2 or 3 minutes at the most. We're also seeing some wearable integration, which is interesting. I think that's probably a 2 or 3 year out thing, not necessarily a now thing. But there's a ton of stuff coming down the pipe, and from our perspective, the brands are kind of driving a lot of that. But it certainly is a fun place to play in.
No, it is, Mike, but thank you so much. I just want to take this opportunity as we burn through this hour awfully quickly here, but I do want to thank you, Mike. I want to thank you, Rob, and Mary Pink. I want to thank you as well for being a part of our webinar series this month. Just a tremendous hot button for all of us is keeping the fans engaged. Please, for those of you who have joined us this month, thank you so much for doing so. Let us know your feedback, topics that you'd like to address in the future. Obviously, fan engagement is an extremely important one as we look to the future with folks like Helios, see what Rob and the White Sox are doing, Mary, and with Iowa State and the Cyclones. Just a tremendous view on what's happening out there. I think next month, if you join us next month, I believe our topic is going to be on social and digital media. So keep a lookout in your inbox for upcoming events. If you like what you're hearing here and you're not a subscriber, maybe you're new to us, we want to encourage you to go to our website at sports-forum.com and sign up for Selling It. Selling It's a bi-weekly e-zine. I think we've got about 5,700 subscribers out there. Comes out great ideas like what we've heard today, the programs that you've been hearing here. We like to profile a different program every other Wednesday. So twice a month we send out basically it's a one sheet, if you would, on an interesting idea that's crossed our desk that we thought was very, very interesting. The Selling It is absolutely free. You just have to sign up for it. And you do that by going to our website and pulling down our publications. You'll see the latest issue of Selling It, and you can sign up for a subscription to yourself. We'll just deliver it to your inbox every other Wednesday. So with that said, everybody, thank you so much for hanging over with us a little bit. Again, thank you so much to Mike and to Mary and to Rob. Really appreciate the input. Mackenzie will be sending around a link to everybody so that you can replay the webinar here, get a chance to hear it, and, of course, let us know any questions that you have. And with that said, everybody, have a great August. Looking forward to a terrific Labor Day, and we'll talk to you in September. Take care now. Bye-bye.